Hello, everyone. My name is Catherine Ferreira. I am the host and owner of Gem and Me. I want to take the time today to introduce myself. Who am I? I'm a young, proud, first-generation Latina born and raised in Washington Heights. I have excelled in my life with adversity, hope, belief, motivation, and most importantly, the power in me. And I believe everybody has their own power inside themselves. And I want to share this platform with you to be able to explore and dig very deep inside of you to find the blessings, the gifts that you were given to become the best version of yourself. So thank you so much for joining today to the Gem and Me podcast. I hope to give you blessings, aha moments, many gifts really that you have within yourself to be able to unfold and find those within you. Thank you for listening today and welcome to Gem to Me. The power is within you. Hello everyone. I'm so happy and excited and blessed to have the master of anything, like the master of Watchusthrive podcast. Like she is a goddess, a queen, victor, right? Because we're not victims, right? We have overpassed and created, a life, a legacy that we're creating for ourselves. And I am so blessed to have you, as a friend, as a sisterhood, right? Sisterhood, accountability partner. And I feel like we have so much in common. Really, we haven't really had the nitty-gritty conversation. This is why we're having this today. But thank you so much for being here and having the space. And I've heard your podcast and how amazing you are. And so I wanted you to tell us a little bit, like, who are you and why you created this amazingness podcast and what motivated you to create it.
Well, first of all, that introduction is like, yes, queen, please.
Yes.
No, but thank you so much. I'm really so honored to be here. And yes, for those who are meeting me for the first time, my name is Lianne. I am the creator and host of the Watchusthrive podcast. It's a podcast that's a little bit about everything. It talks about mental health. It talks about my own struggles in my healing journey. I feature amazing guests to come on to share their own experiences of turning their pain into power, talk about, toxic relationships and not just romantic ones, like, family, friendship, all of that. And just finding who the fuck you are, like the inner bad bitch that we all have within us, right? And why I started it's still a fairly new podcast. I started it in the beginning of this year, January 1st to be exact. And I just needed an outlet to really journal out my thoughts. For those who are hearing me for the first time, I am a domestic violence survivor. That happened a little over a year ago. And in hitting that rock bottom, I'm sure we're going to get into it more, but, hitting that rock bottom in that moment, I really needed a way to heal from that. And just sharing my story and what I've been through and attracting people who have also gone through their own forms of trauma. It's just helped me just tell my story and just have people hear like, yo, you're not alone in whatever it is that you go through. And, it started with me sharing my story, but it's really just grown into something so fucking beautiful. And I'm here for it.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that and like the story behind it, because there's a lot of power behind pain. I feel like, we get stuck in that victim, right? So I kind of highlighted that at the beginning when I introduced you, because sometimes people stay in that victim phase, right? And there's a lot of people living there, unfortunately, and like transitioning into the victor where you've healed, done the work, you're doing the work, you're fighting it. And it's a constant struggle. Like it doesn't happen overnight. You're like healed. And so you've been like in that process and you've healed many, you know, traumas, and especially the one you mentioned, which I feel like is huge. And I didn't know it was so fairly recent. It's hard to like talk in that space where it's so recent and you're like, yes, like I went through that very recently and I'm in another space now.
Yeah.
So tell me like your upbringings. I wanted to kind of go deeper into like, I know that you have a big story and a big purpose behind domestic violence. I feel like it speaks to like your power and your community. But I wanted to learn a little bit more about your upbringings. Like, who was your role model when you were growing up?
That's a really, really good question. And you know, thinking back to my childhood, I don't know why, but I really can't remember a lot of it. The only time I can really remember my childhood is if I'm watching like home videos. But you know, growing up, I would say the person that I wanted to emulate the most was my older sister, Janice. And you know, that's something that is still with me to this day. You know, I'm her personal assistant. I do all the behind the scenes stuff for her amazing podcast, Yo Quiero Dinero. I'm sure people have heard of it. But that's really someone who, growing up, I remember I always wanted to be like her. I guess, you know, it's a second child syndrome. It's just me and her. I'm the baby. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, you know, being the younger sister, and you know, you have this person that you want to be cool with and you want to like be like her and chasing her around everywhere. I remember watching home videos, like you would just see I was always behind her, always, you know, doing the shit that she was doing and getting into trouble with her. And yeah, that's just someone who still to this day, like she has helped me so much in my own growth and my own journey. And that's definitely someone that I wholeheartedly have to give props to, for being someone that, you know, has helped me shape into who I am today.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you for sharing that. I
Don't tell her that though.
yeah, you should. You should tell her
Yeah.
because we have to communicate that because, you know, I'm a big sister. So we don't
Mhm.
get the credit. We don't
Yeah.
get the credit, like, you know. And my next question is about your parents, but we don't get the credit that we need because I feel like our parents rely so much on big siblings, like to figure it out, be there, fill in, like
A lot of shit on your shoulders, right? Being the older sibling, like you're the one who's expected to do everything right, and you know the kids that come after that, it's like I really don't care. But there's a lot like on the first generation that you know that holds a lot of pressure to you guys.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely a lot. So please tell her. She'll be so happy.
Yes.
So, what is your relationship like growing up with your parents? I feel like our parents and relationships growing up, they kind of mark you and kind of
Yeah.
form you to the person that you have become. And I know my parents, I see myself a little bits and pieces of my parents, like now as an adult, and I'm like doing the
Yeah.
work. So I'm like, shit, like that's my dad,
Yes.
that's my
Yeah.
mom.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. My parents, they are still together. They're married 40 plus years. Yes. Which is
Congratulations,
unheard
that's
of.
beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, it hasn't been rainbows and butterflies the whole
Of
time.
course,
Let's
of
just keep it
course.
100, right?
Yeah,
Um,
that's life.
yeah, yeah. But, you know, I had a really, really good upbringing, I have to say. You know, definitely a home filled with love, with support, definitely arguments, you know, communication is not something that was normalized in my home growing up, and I think that's fairly common for, you know, us in the Latinx community. We never talked about our feelings, we never expressed ourselves. Mental health was definitely not a topic of conversation, and still to this day, you know, I try to get my mom to go to therapy because she definitely has trauma. But you know, she's a 60 something old school Puerto Rican. She's like, no, I don't need therapy. I'm good.
Right.
Um, but you know, I think my upbringing, the good and the bad, definitely stemmed from there. Of, you know, I've noticed in my own healing journey, it's a struggle for me to communicate my feelings in a healthy way. I'm so used to blowing up, and I know that's the side of my mom. She's a Scorpio, so she goes from like 0 to 100. And, that's something that I'm trying to work on because I am a single mom. I do have an almost 13-year-old daughter. And,
Aw.
I try to, I'm trying to break the cycle of what
Mhm.
I didn't have growing up in regards to like open communication and honesty. And like, I tell my daughter everything. And that's not something that I had growing up with my family, right? Like, my parents didn't even know that I was pregnant until after my first trimester. Like, that's how scared I was. Yes. And the way that they found out that I was pregnant, it's another conversation for another day. I definitely remember that I just had this fear of speaking up
Mhm.
growing up because of the repercussions, because I knew that my family would punish me, or I would get yelled at, or I couldn't go out with my friends. And that's definitely something that I'm trying to work through with the way that I communicate with my daughter, because like I said, that's not something that was normalized for me growing up. So I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I'm figuring it out as
I
I'm going.
love
You know what I
it.
mean?
I love it.
Yeah.
And it's very like I feel like instrumental, like to
Yeah.
heal your shit, right? Heal all that trauma. And basically that's like the topic, if you will, right? That's your expertise that you're doing is healing traumas, talking about traumas and how we can be healed or work
Yes.
towards healed. And then like projecting that in our kids. I'm not a mom yet, but honestly, I feel like if I need to do anything before I have kids, is heal my shit. So I'm not like pouring all that stuff on my kids
Yep.
because that's what happened with my mom, right? She had all these traumas, all these things that are unresolved, and she was what she had, right? For
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And I had resentment, I had disappointment, I had a lot of baggage. And honestly, I feel like I broke the cycle. I'm breaking the cycle because I
Mhm.
went to her and I was like, this and this happened and I feel this and this about it. I don't appreciate it. And she's like, oh, it's because I grew up like that. Right.
Oh,
So she didn't have it. So she didn't
yes.
know how to give it or
Yeah.
anything, like break the cycle. She didn't break the
Yeah.
cycle. But
Yeah. And I think, for us being the ones who are breaking the cycle, I have to hold space for my family because they only knew what they knew. Like, I can't hold it against them that they didn't have the tools that I have growing up. Like, they only knew so much. And it's like, okay, you did the best that you could. It was a different time back then, and I forgive you for that.
Mhm.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So I get it. I think
That's
a
huge.
lot of us can relate in
That's
in
huge.
that upbringing.
Yeah, and something, thank you for bringing that up because forgiving is like it gives you space of peace, right? And it gives them some peace and
Yes.
it really improves your relationship with them. But first of all, the first step to that is communication, telling them how you feel because if you hold it in here, you have that resentment, you don't share it, it's still
Yeah.
gonna be there, it's not gonna heal. And that's like the
Exactly.
first part of like healing is just this is how I feel. I forgive you. I understand. But then letting them speak to it too, because that kind of gives you some closure, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh, so I know you've talked about many different parts of your life that like were pivotal, but I figure that one of the most recent ones I think is like huge, right? So you did speak about your experience with domestic violence. Please like talk a little bit about what like how that hits home because I have a best friend that she's a survivor, right?
Mhm.
She was, I mean, as of right now, she's disabled because of it, and thankfully she's
Wow.
alive.
Yeah.
But it really took a toll on her life, and she's not the same person. I'm so happy that you made it through in one
Yes.
piece, and you're healthy and whole,
Yeah.
because not a lot of people make it out.
Yep.
Please tell us about your experience and how that formed you into the person you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I did a lot of research around domestic violence after that situation, and a statistic that I came across blew my fucking mind. 1 in 3 women are gonna be a victim of domestic violence in their lifetime. 1 in 3.
Wow.
So just think about that. A group of people that are listening to this podcast, there's at least one person who has either been or knows someone. And me and you are a perfect example. I am someone, someone. And it's so much more common than we know because we don't talk about it. And, you know, going through what I went through it for a reason and I survived it for a reason. And in me sharing my story and talking about what I've been through, I've been able to not only heal myself, but to help the people who don't have a voice to speak up, the people who are scared, maybe people who are in an abusive relationship, but they don't even know. Like, I feel in us sharing our stories and our experiences, if I can help one person, I've done my job, you know, by just sharing my story. And yeah, so I'll just give a little backstory on how me and him met. If anyone wants to listen to the full in-depth, um, you know, relationship, I recorded an entire podcast episode on my podcast, episode 10, that gives the full detail. You know, if I talk about it now, it's going to be like 2 hours and I don't want to take up all of your time. Yeah. So I met him online. Um, and in the beginning, I thought like he was my forever. The relationship really progressed quickly. And I think that's one red flag that people really need to look out for. There's this thing called love bombing, which is a real thing where, you know, the person throws this love and affection and just bombs you with these feelings of like, this person is my forever. And that's something that I experienced. And, you know, it was short lived. The relationship was very driven around like lust and sex and, you know, just obsession, honestly. Like I felt like I was obsessed with this person. And in that point in time, I didn't know why. You know, doing the work and healing, I realized like I didn't have worth or value or love for myself. And I was just looking for that validation in other people, which is something that I've done in other relationships too. But yeah, the relationship really escalated quickly. We met at the end of April 2020. In the middle of May, he asked me to be his girlfriend. And in the middle of June 2020, he moved in. So it was like super, super quick. And, you know, like 5 days after we met, he told me he loved me. And I was like, oh, I love you too. Yeah, it's insane. Like looking back at it now, there was so much shit that I ignored. But I just know now it's because I was just longing for that validation, longing for that feeling of like, oh, someone so attractive wants me. Like you really want me, you know what I mean? And yeah, it just progressively got worse. It didn't start off physical, it started with verbal, which is something that's very, very common in DV or domestic violence relationships. You know, in the beginning, he would talk to me like, oh, you're my queen, you're my soulmate, I love you so much. But then, you know, you can only pretend to be who you're not for so long. And I want to say maybe 5 months into the relationship, like the facade started to dissipate. And it was like the real person was coming through. He definitely had anger issues, definitely had a rough upbringing. I don't want to make excuses, but like, you know, he definitely did not have the easiest life growing up. And there was definitely mental illness within him that was untreated. And, you know, it just progressively got worse. You know, it started with the name calling, it started with, you know, talking down. Then it came with infidelity and cheating and all of that. And then progressively, it just got worse. The first time that it got physical, I remember, I don't know what the reason was, but I believe I like went through his phone and I found out that he was like talking to his ex or something. And I called him out on it. And he was like, who the fuck are you to like invade my privacy and go through my shit? And I remember he like squeezed my face so hard that I couldn't brush my teeth for like 3 days afterwards because it hurt to like move my mouth. And yeah, it was just, it was a wild, wild time. Um, but yeah, that's really how it started. And then the last incident was March of 2021. And like I said before, it the abuse progressively got worse. Um, and long story short, I almost lost my life that night. And when I escaped from him, I just knew like, yo, I can't do this anymore, because if I stay, I'm probably not gonna live. I'm gonna die. So yeah.
Wow. Oh my God. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure it's hard, like so hard for you to say it and kind of, I mean, you're in a space of healing now and you overcame it, right? But it's still like a very hard time.
Before, like, right before, I couldn't talk about it. Now, like, I'm okay talking about it because I've done the work, and because I don't want to say I'm healed. I don't think anyone is ever healed, but I'm definitely healing from it.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I definitely just want to paint the picture for people to realize, like, you know, domestic violence is a real thing, and a lot of people go through it. And there's some people who unfortunately are not able to tell their story. There's so many instances where people do succumb from, the abuse. And I know I survived that night for a reason. And this is the reason for me to be
Your
talking to you.
purpose. Yeah, your
Yeah.
purpose. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I'm so happy that, like I said, so happy that you're in one piece because from my experience with my friend, it's like I wish that, she would have listened or, and there's red flags, like you said, red flags or
Yep.
people tell you, but the only person that actually knows is the person inside of the situation,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Um, it's so hard to like come out of it. And then when you do, hopefully you are in one piece.
Exactly.
From your healing experience, I know it's fairly recent, but what would you say is like a healing toolkit or like a magic toolkit that you feel will like get people to start healing or like in that healing space?
Yeah. I
DV.
think,
It could be DV or like in general.
yeah, for sure. Any form of trauma. I think the first step, you need to accept it. You need to say, this is what it is, and I'm not okay. I think a lot of people, and that's something that I did too before, like I would push it under the rug and just pretend like shit didn't happen and be like, okay, I'm cool. I'm living my life. But you need to get to the point where you're tired of your own shit. You're tired of repeating the cycle over and over and finding yourself in these similar situations. Like before my ex with domestic violence, like I was in another relationship that was just as toxic. There were instances of domestic violence in that too. And just realizing like there's something about me, like I'm the common denominator in this situation. I'm tired of my own shit, so I need to accept it for what it is. And now, what the fuck am I gonna do about it? So, what did I do? I hired a life coach. I hired a psychologist. Like, I got help because I knew I couldn't do it on my own anymore. I was trying to do it on my own for so long that it wasn't getting me anywhere. So, just surrendering to whatever situation it is that you're in and finding help, that is where you can truly start to heal. Journaling is a huge thing too that a lot of people use in their own healing journey. Writing out your thoughts, because we live in here, we live in our heads, right? And
Yeah.
that's not going to help you heal from whatever it is that you're thinking. If you write it out and you actually see what you're feeling, then you can identify, okay, I feel some type of way about this. I feel some type of way about this. Now, what am I going to be able to do to heal from that? And that's how, life coaches or therapy, a huge component for therapy. It's helped me so much in my own healing journey. But yeah, just the first step is just accepting it for what it is and saying, I need fucking help and I can't do it alone.
Thank you. So just to kind of recap it, and if you're going through some trauma, you have to accept it that is happening, right? Get help and journal and seek like exterior factors to express it or get it out of your head.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you. I think that's pretty decent because I feel like you said, the first step, if you don't see a problem, then how
How are you gonna fix it?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So,
Yep.
from your experiences as a mom and DV survivor, or victor, if you will, what life lessons would you say that you live by, or you wish you can tell your younger self?
I love this question. It's so good. What I've learned, what would I tell my younger self? I would tell her that it's okay to be alone. Like, I'm the type of person, well, I was the type of person, like, I've been in a relationship since I was 14 years old. I'm going to be 34 this year. So that's almost 20 years of like being in a relationship, right? And I've always seeked, like I said before, validation from other people, love from other people, wanting and needing from other people, when I never found that within me. So that's something that I would tell myself, like, yo, you don't need somebody in your life all the time. Like, you need to
Yeah.
get to know you, who you are in your core. What are your likes? What are your dislikes? What are your turn-ons and your turn-offs? And, what are your passions? All of those things. Stop looking for that shit in other people. Like, you need to get to know you. You need to love you. That's something that I would tell myself, because I never fucking loved myself for the longest. And let me tell you something. Loving yourself, for me personally, it's one of the hardest journeys that I've been on, because for so long I hated myself. But I didn't accept that until I started my healing journey. Until I really was like single. You know how people say, like, oh, she's single, like they say it twice, like, oh, she ain't got nobody.
Yeah, single.
Yeah, it wasn't until
No
like I
prospects, nobody.
nothing, no hoes. Like, I've been celibate for over a year, like nothing, right? It wasn't until I got rid of the distractions and I really started to look within me that I realized I'm like, yo, I got some shit that I gotta work on. I really have some shit that I need to work on. And I'm doing it. It's not easy. And let me say that for whoever's listening, the shit is hard. It's ghetto. It's fucking
It's exhausting. It's
exhausting, but
draining
at the
to
same time
mental.
it's so fucking rewarding. It's such a peace that I feel. Like, I feel such a sense of calm that I've never felt before in my life. And
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you so
yeah.
much for sharing that. I feel like I honestly started my loving journey very recent too, because just like you, I would seek for love where I didn't have to, because I was longing for that love because I didn't have it growing up.
Yep.
And it's a cycle. That's why actually of your parents, because it kind of trickles down to like, why are you looking
Absolutely.
for love? Because maybe you didn't have it when you were growing up, or you need
Absolutely.
validation from others, or you
Absolutely.
have a void somewhere else and you're like trying to find it in other people. And
Yep.
and that was me for a very long time. I never knew how to sit down. It's hard for me to relax and sit down
Mm-hmm.
and be with
Yep.
myself. But
Yep.
up to recently, when I lost my job, my 9 to 5, I'm unemployed right now. Side note. And when that happened, I went crazy because I've always been busy, school,
Yep.
work, doing the thing, always busy.
Yep.
And when I lost my job, it was like a slap in the face. And it was like, you have to like sit down with yourself, know yourself. And it was like the best thing for me. It was like a rebirth,
Yes.
because it was like, okay, now I have time for like stuff that I want to do. Like I started
Yes.
the gym, eating healthier. The podcast came out of
Yes.
it. And
Yes.
I'm so happy and blessed and peaceful, because I feel like I don't need no exterior factors. Like, if something else comes along, like, great. But I'm happy the way I am now with myself.
Yep.
And like that, then you're like, oh, I'm loving myself. I'm with myself. Like, all I need is myself. And that's like, honestly, the essence of gem in me, right? Because you have the gem in you, and everything you need is inside of you. The happiness, the peace, the joy, everything is inside of you. But I knew this concept, but it's hard to apply it and be in that space.
Yes.
It's a journey. I mean, you can have good days, bad days, it kind of is a new journey every day.
Yes.
Because
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I know I'm coming off like very positive and very like, oh my God, she's giving me so much light. But let me tell you, like, there's still moments where I'm triggered by what I've gone through. Like, I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. And there's moments where I get flashbacks and I get anxiety and I fall into depression and all of these things that come along with the journey. But I now have the tools in my toolkit to be able to process those feelings and not stay there. And like you said in the beginning, live in victim land. For the longest, I was, like Erica says, the fucking mayor, Erica Kramer, our life coach. she was the mayor of Victimland. And I was like, yo, I resonate with that so much, because I would always put the blame on other people and never point it back to myself. And it wasn't until I started taking accountability and I looked in the mirror and I was like, yo, I do play a part in the way that my life is or was. That's when the change started to happen, when I took accountability for what I put myself through.
Exactly. This is huge. I feel
Yeah.
like I was in victim land also. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
my parents, like these people are so annoying.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yes.
And like, okay, wait, like, what is it that I want? Like, and then you manifesting and you start to learn like the things that you attract, and
Yep.
you know, invest your energy and efforts to, and people
Yep.
that you're with, your friends, is huge. It's like a 360.
Yes.
When you start doing the work,
Changes.
everything changes.
Everything can change, but it all starts and ends with you. You're the one who can either be a victim or a victor.
Yes. Oh my God, I love that quote. Thank you so much.
Thanks to Erica Kramer and the sisterhood. She's helped me so much.
Yes, shout out to the sisterhood. Oh my
Yes.
God, this has been like a journey. I'm still in like module 1.
Mhm.
I'm still like with what is it, Katie Bryan.
Katie, yep.
Yeah, because it's
a lot. It's a
hard.
lot.
It's a lot
Yeah.
of unpacking and
Yes,
like
absolutely.
going with your thoughts and what's really bothering you, and is it true?
Yes, exactly. Is it true? 9 times out of 10, it's not true.
Yes, exactly. What is your superpower?
Oh, my superpower. I would say it's my vulnerability. And I think it's my not having that fear of being open and honest. I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. They really don't like to show the dark moments. They don't like to talk about Bruno. You know what I mean? Like they try to put on this facade that like everything's perfect, and I'm doing the complete opposite. I'm bringing you guys along this journey that I'm figuring out as I go, and I think that's what people like to gravitate to. They like to see that like, yo, she's just a regular person too. She doesn't know what the fuck she's doing, but she's doing it. And I think that is so powerful, and anyone can do that. It's just not having that fear of having to show up and being perfect, because nobody's perfect. But yeah, I think that's my superpower. I hope that's a good answer.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's a really good one because that vulnerability is so hard.
Yeah.
Like telling your story. Like when I started my podcast, I'm like, shit, like I want to do this, but like who is gonna listen to this? Like, you know, these people are gonna listen to this and they're gonna know, and like shit, like, oh my God, what they gonna say about if, you know, this person comes to me and like asks me about this. It's so hard. But it's like, you know what, fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to like, this is my truth. This is my life. This is my journey. It hasn't been great. It hasn't been horrible, but it's brought me to who I am today. And I'm proud as fuck of the woman that I am today. Like the girl that I was 2 years ago, I don't fucking know who she is. I'm a completely different person. And it's because of those experiences that I've gone through that has helped shape me into who I am today. So, you know, I'm grateful for it all, the good, bad, and the shitty.
I love it. Oh my God, this is very powerful. And I know you mentioned that like you survived that, you know, very hard night for a reason.
Yeah.
And you found your purpose.
Yeah.
And you're living your purpose through your story. And I want you to kind of share like what is that for you? Like sometimes, okay, we found our purpose and we're kind of living it through the day, but like do you have a vision of like this is who I will be like 5-10 years from now?
Yeah, absolutely. I say this all the time and I joke around about it, but I'm like dead ass serious. Like I want to be the Latina Dr. Phil. Like I want to have my own show where guests come on and they share their trauma and what they've gone through. And I just have this global platform that people can just feel safe to be vulnerable and to share the shit that they've gone through, but also like know that there's so much more than what has happened to you, and you don't need to let your trauma define who you are. You know, I want it to be on a grand scale that it's like in every single country that people listen to this podcast, and you know, I'm going on tours and I'm speaking to people, and you know, I just want it to be something that I can't even imagine, but I know that it's on the horizon. God has this life set up for me. And, I'm in the beginning stages of putting it together, and I'm just going to keep showing up and being me and just owning my story and my journey and bringing it
Yes,
along the way.
manifesting it. And
Yes.
I wish you nothing but the best, because I
Thank
feel
you.
like, there's not a lot of people like that are genuine, vulnerable, doing the work and
Mhm.
willing to help others while you're doing it.
Yes,
Because it's so hard to like do it yourself, but like
absolutely.
helping others, it takes also like, filling your cup and pouring here and pouring there.
Yes,
You're pouring into people, but you also have to pour into yourself. And I
absolutely.
learned that. So and honestly, I feel like I also hold like a value, and like it fills my cup to help others, if you
Yes.
will, right?
Yeah.
So creating that community, and I feel like you've been part of my community too, because I've learned from you. We met at Manifiesta, which was amazing. And it
Amazing.
kind of opened like doors to like 1,000, people
Yes.
and relationships and things. So I'm like so grateful for those things. And we're gonna continue to collaborate and
Yes.
create and help others and in our healing journey. And I feel like healing sometimes is not a single definition. So to
Nope.
kind of close, like, well, to kind of segue into our closing, what is healing for you?
Mm. Oh, it's ghetto as fuck. No.
Yes, definitely.
No, I think healing is really just getting to know you at your core, like peeling back those layers, going back to childhood, just figuring out really who you are at your core being and finding the best part of you in that process, even with all the shit that's been thrown at us, with life and kids and jobs and relationships and all that. Really just knowing who you are at your core being, like that is what I'm doing in my own healing journey.
Thank you. That really puts it into perspective. And I feel like healing means a lot for different people, right? Depending on the drama, their circumstance, the upbringings, etc.
Yeah.
But I feel like the end goal is to like feel
Yes.
whole and at peace,
With
and
yourself.
with yourself. Yeah,
Yeah.
because everything starts from
Yep.
within. Thank you so much. It's been like an amazing conversation, and I feel like we had so many gems,
Yes.
so many aha moments that I feel like our listeners will really take on and use it and implement it in their lives. And I wanted to give you the opportunity to share your services and where our listeners could, find you and go follow you.
Yes, thank you so much once again for having me.
Thank you.
It just lights me up to have these type of conversations that I know are really gonna change and help people, like I said before, who are the voiceless, who are scared to speak up. So I just thank you so much, and shout out to you for this amazing podcast. I'm so
Thank
honored to be a part
you.
of it. But yeah, you guys can follow me. I'm mainly on Instagram. My handle is Watchusthrive Podcast. I have my own podcast. It's called Watchusthrive. It's available everywhere: Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Brand new episodes drop every Tuesday at 5 a.m. Eastern. And then I do like a bonus episode sometimes on Fridays. And yeah, that's what I'm working on. I'm also on Twitter, WUT podcast underscore. And in the future, I'm in the very, very beginning stages of putting together like a self-love workshop that I want to host, talking about healing from trauma and overcoming toxic relationships and warning signs to look out for, and just advocating for the domestic violence community. So be on the lookout for that. Like I said, it's in the very early stages. But yeah, just come holler at your girl. And I'm here to be a safe space for people to be vulnerable. So slide in my DM. I'm very, very active, and I'll speak to you. If anyone wants to be a guest on my show, hit me up. But yeah, that's me. That's Lianne.
Thank you. Thank you so much again for being
Yeah.
here. And it's been a pleasure like meeting you from the get-go. Like you've been always so supportive, so open, like ready to like give the tips and tricks and like have that conversation. So I really commend you and like give you a lot of gratitude for that, because not everybody's like that, right? Because we have so much on our plates, and like just like going out of our way to help others sometimes is not as easy as we would like to, but you always make time. So thank you so much. Gem and Me is yours to come on whenever you want. Our community.
I need you on my podcast, girl. Like we need to.
Yes, we have to schedule it.
Absolutely.
And I feel like a lot of like you describing like Watchusthrive, I feel like there's so much mental health in there. And like I'm a mental health advocate because I have a master's in public health, and I've done some, I would say, education on it, and I've been in healthcare for 8 years. So I feel like I'm so connected to like healing, right, and mental health because I've been in the public health space. And I feel like that's like the main topic. Like let's get our mind and heart in one piece and whole.
Yes.
Because if not, like our lives are not.
There's so many broken people out in this world who are just looking for a community and looking for places where they can be vulnerable. And with my podcast and your podcast, we're creating that space. So, we're just changing lives one day at a time.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening, guys.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I am so grateful that you're here listening to my podcast, Gem and Me. I hope that you continue to share, continue to listen on very important topics that I discuss in my growth and journey to what is called life. I hope that you're able to learn and explore different values and things that you have within you. I really hope to serve as a support system and a community to those who need that inspiration in that community, because I know that I needed this, I still do, but like growing up, I felt like I needed something where I can, see the examples and have a support system. So I hope to serve as such. Thank you for listening and have a great one.